Hi, my found family, and welcome back to my channel. Emetophobia is something that robbed me of so much, and I wanted to share my story today. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't walk. I couldn't talk. The thought alone of throwing up would cause me such an intense level of anxiety that the fear literally crippled me with debilitating panic attacks. My fear of throwing up started in elementary school. I was in the first grade. I remember it like it was yesterday. The day that Raymond threw up in our school cafeteria was the day that I learned how embarrassing and disruptive it was to throw up in public. Or so I thought. That's how I perceived it based on the way that everyone reacted. That lesson that I learned, paired with the anxiety that I was already struggling with, were the perfect recipe for disaster. I knew that from that day forward, I couldn't ever throw up in public and humiliate myself like that. I'm sure there were other contributing factors, but that specific event is something that I remember very vividly. In the years that followed, my crippling fear of throwing up just intensified. I suffered from daily panic attacks and refused to eat in fear that the food was just going to make me throw up. At the time, I didn't know that I was lactose intolerant and gluten sensitive. So every time I was told, drink your milk, eat the yogurt, finish the pasta, the pain in my stomach would only further fuel my emetophobia. I turned to water as my coping mechanism. I needed a water bottle with me at all times. And if I didn't have a water bottle near me, I would experience this pain in my chest, this tightness in my throat, and my mind would spin out of control. These panic attacks kept me bound in a cage through elementary school, middle school, high school, and it even leaked into some of my college years. I didn't participate in certain social activities, such as performing in my elementary school talent show, something that I really wished that I would have had the opportunity to do. But because of my fear of throwing up in public, I let it go and I didn't participate in it. I even remember another specific moment, specifically about my water bottle need, that truthfully, even as I'm thinking about it right now, it's triggering me. So my family and I went to Chuck E. Cheese, and my parents, who had no idea, obviously, what the heck was wrong with me, tried to help me by taking my water bottle away, not knowing that taking it away from me was actually the worst thing that they could have done in that moment. So as we had parked the car and headed for the door, my parents told me that I couldn't bring my water bottle into Chuck E. Cheese with me. And I remember that I was so triggered that I started wiping the water off of the back of my dad's car because it had rained earlier that day, and tried to drink the rainwater on the car. Yes, it was that bad. As I recall these memories, I feel so sad for my younger self. She was scared, confused, angry, anxious, and depressed. And nobody knew because she didn't want to open up to anyone. She didn't want anyone to know what was wrong with her. She didn't know what to do or how to get fixed. By the time I got to college, though, I did learn how to better manage my anxiety and manage my panic attacks a little better. They still came on full force, but they happened less and with more time in between each episode. But after college, when I started working at my new job, which at the time it was in staffing and recruiting, they picked right back up again and they came on even stronger than ever. This was when my conservative Catholic parents admitted to themselves that I needed help from medications, and I was prescribed Xanax, which at that point my doctor needed to increase the dosage to 2 milligrams because I wasn't able to function without them. I'm here to tell you that it's okay to seek professional help. It's okay to seek a counselor and to seek a therapist. And sometimes it's okay to get medication. You are worth it and your mental health matters. I'm happy to share that it's been 2 to 3 years since I've needed Xanax. I've experienced many panic attack episodes during this time, but there have been things that have helped me to cope and to manage with the emetophobia over the years. And so here are a few things that helped me overcome emetophobia. One is exposure therapy. So I threw up twice, and it wasn't as bad as I feared it to be. Once was actually kind of an accident. I was having drinks with a colleague after work and had one too many drinks, so I felt ill, went to the bathroom, and I was actually taking an Advil to help with the nausea. And in trying to swallow the pill, the water went down the wrong way and made me cough. So the coughing turned into borderline gagging, and I ended up throwing up. The second time was definitely not an accident. I just had too many drinks and ended up throwing up. It was awful, and I felt like garbage, especially the next day. But I remember thinking, even as I was throwing up, that it really wasn't that bad. I'm totally not saying that you should experience throwing up to feel better or to give yourself some relief of the fear of throwing up. But I'm just speaking out of my own personal experience. It was something that helped me realize that it wasn't as badly as I had feared it to be. I'm sharing a link in the description below from anxietycoach.com about exposure therapy. So that way, if you have any additional questions, this is a really great resource, and definitely talk to a mental health professional, talk to a mental health counselor about exposure therapy. I would not recommend or advise for you to go into something like that on your own without the support and the professional experience and opinions from a mental health professional. Again, the first time, totally an accident. The second time wasn't an accident. I really just had more to drink. So I threw up without planning to, but it just was something that helped me. The second is mindset shifting. So the fear didn't go away overnight. It took years of mindset shifting. It took me so much time to unlearn the fear that I had picked up. I practiced mantras daily during this time. I've spent a lot of time reading self-help books, and little by little, as I've removed the fear that I had in other areas of my life, the fear of throwing up has also become less and less. I found there to be almost a direct correlation between the way in which I viewed myself and the level of stress that I was experiencing in my life. So the more uncertainty that I had about who I was, what I was meant to do in this world, and what was going to happen next, the more anxious that I was. And I grew up with a very fear-based mentality. So it makes sense that I was constantly living in this state of fight or flight. And I subconsciously knew that in order to get better, I needed to shift my perception of myself, which would in turn shift my perception of my fears. Number 3 is meditation. So in a similar vein, meditation helped me tremendously. I've shared this before in another one of my videos that came out last week, that when I moved to Brooklyn a few years ago, I mentally gave my middle finger to anyone or anything that made me feel trapped, controlled, or fearful. So I meditated by giving myself time with me. Now, my version of meditation might be a little bit different than most people, and it looks something like this. I sit cross-legged on the floor with a lit candle and the sounds of nature or piano, or some of my favorite songs by, I'm not even going to try to pronounce her name, but it's going to be written right here, and I'll have links in the description. And I close my eyes and repeat things to myself like, I breathe in love and I exhale fear. I accept myself for who I am. I breathe in the universe. I trust my intuition. To help block out the light, sometimes I would even take a face mask and put it over my eyes so that it would block out any extra light and would help me get deeper into the meditation. So the inner dialogue also sounded something like this. I breathe in the universe. I exhale the fear of the unknown. I am one with the universe. The universe is one with me. I am in tune with my spirit. I am one with my spirit. My spirit is with me. I am safe. And that is literally, word for word, one of the mantras that I shared with myself. And I know that because I left myself a note in my phone and also did a journal entry about it. A lot of the times things go blurry. You kind of black out. You don't really know what's happening and what you're thinking. So in order to remind myself when I'm not experiencing a panic attack, but to prep myself, what I experienced or how I brought myself back and how I regrounded myself, I would write a journal entry, which is something that I definitely want to encourage you guys to do as well, is to document what your triggers are, what sort of makes your heart start to race, what makes your palms sweaty, and make note of these things. And if it's helpful to write it in your phone or do this journal entry, it's a really great way to document your experiences and then help remind you what grounded you, what brought you back. And it's really awesome to go back and be like, I am so strong. Look at how many things I've overcome. Look at how I was able to take this moment of pain and discomfort and all of these uncertainties and feel empowered and feel like I am able to overcome those things. It's a great feeling. Be patient with yourself. Give yourself the time to heal. Everything is going to be okay. You are going to be okay, and you will also overcome. If you have any other questions about emetophobia, about panic attacks, I'm available. My DMs are always open. I'm on Twitter at CoachLisy. I'm also on LinkedIn, and I have my website. I have TikTok and a bunch of different things. All of the links to all of my social media platforms are always listed in the description of every single episode. Please reach out to me, ask me any questions. I'm also a certified life coach. And although, again, I am not a therapist, I am not a mental health professional, I'm not a mental health counselor, I am able to still help coach self-confidence, self-love, and self-acceptance. And so these are parts of my coaching sessions in order to give people the tools and the exercises and the frameworks to really feel this sense of love and of acceptance. And again, I have literally been there personally. So I hear you, I see you, I understand you, and I am here to help support you in your journey. So feel free to reach out to me. I'm offering a special until the end of this month, 2 sessions for $125 to start with for all new clients. So if you are interested, please reach out as well. And if you found this video to be helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I come out with new videos every single Friday, and I hope you're having a great day and doing well. I'm sending you and your loved ones a bunch of love and good vibes from New York City.